welcome. You are watching Coffee Break with Vanessa, where you get to change the world by simply loving your own. Welcome back to the show. We're here every Thursday, and I'm super excited to introduce you my next guest. Never been on the show before. I'm very honored to have her here. Her name is Bartleet. And she is here to share with you things that are shifting and the things that she's doing within our community here in Toronto. I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really awesome to be with you. You have been such an inspiration for me watching you. You hold the divine feminine so beautifully, and you do such amazing work. And I'm so stoked that you're here. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
For those of you that are watching for the first time, this show, we have in-depth, transparent, authentic conversations. There's been no, email with a bunch of questions preparing you. This is very much in the moment, and that's exactly how I like it. So to introduce you a little bit about Clarity, she is an intentional yoga teacher. She's a yoga Thai massage therapist. She leads women's groups here in Toronto that they do vary in topic, I would say.
Absolutely.
But the intention is gathering the divine women together to share and connect, and community is so important right now. So that is very powerful. And you also teach ganja yoga, which we're definitely going to touch base on for sure. Most of the guests that I've talked to, one of the first questions I ask them is, we are on this path, right? We're on this conscious awareness of path of spirituality, but it wasn't always like this for us, right? There was a time when this wasn't our path.
For sure.
And so could you share a little bit more about what your life looked like before? Yeah,
it was very different indeed. So I grew up in Switzerland, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. We have a different system in Switzerland, so you actually can finish school at 15. So
Wow.
I finished mandatory school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just listened to my parents and ended up working for the biggest bank in Switzerland and doing an apprenticeship for them. So I was working in the bank 3 days a week and going to school, which was very interesting so that was from 16 to 19.
Wow.
And it just opened my eyes to this world, and at the time I really thought that was successful. It was seen as successful from everyone else. And you're already making money at this age, so it's like, but then your path is already all carved for you because they want to hire you afterwards. They put so much into your training. So that was one thing. The only thing I knew when I finished this apprenticeship was that I didn't want to work in a bank. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So again, I just followed my parents. My mom got me this job in this big multinational corporation, American corporation. So I was working in organizing events for them and traveling around Europe, and it was again seen as successful, and it was just not that fulfilling, because you're doing all these events for someone else.
Right.
And so I did that for a little bit, and I was also in a relationship at the time with someone who was also conventionally seen as successful. He had his own company, but I was deeply unfulfilled and unhappy. And one day I woke up and I just cried. I didn't know why. I was just depressed because I had no sense of who I was, what I wanted, and any meaning of it all. So I decided to follow my heart for the first time when I was 21. And I moved to Australia to study fashion design.
Wow.
So I did that for a year, again, not really knowing if that was my path, and I think it was mostly to explore other lifestyles, because I only lived in Switzerland at this point.
Right.
And then after that, again, I realized the industry wasn't for me. So I decided to go back to university and study political science. So many different things.
Yeah.
And then I just follow again my intuition about where to go next, and Toronto called me. And I had no other reason than just feeling that there was a pull, there was something there. And as soon as I arrived, it was like arriving home for the first time. It was amazing, and I met all the community, and I studied sociology at U of T, and I stopped my studies a year before it was supposed to end because again, I felt a pull towards the community and investing more in learning, you know, how to have a conscious lifestyle and how to build this alternative culture that we're all building together. And yeah, that was my path so far.
So what was it that pulled, like, because Toronto, that's like, that's out of nowhere. So you feel called, you go, you show up, you're in school, you do yoga, you do Thai massage. What was like one of the first, you know, catalysts to kind of open this up? You know,
So I do work with ganja.
Okay.
I've been intentionally using ganja for many years, and because I use it with intention, I receive a lot of messages, and it increases my intuition, my psychic abilities, and there's at some moments a deep sense of inner knowing about who I am, what I'm supposed to do, and not the whole picture, but just insights into that. And this is what led me to actually moving to Toronto. I think was one of these just moments of knowing, and stopping my studies, again, even Thai massage, all these transformative experiences and training that I did were guided by that medicine and that deep sense of intuition and inner knowing.
That's pretty awesome.
And what I've realized is that every time I listen to that, it's gonna be rewarding, extremely rewarding at the end, and I will just find, again, the sense of coming home and what feels right for me, what I feel like I was made to do. So I keep trusting, and yeah, it serves me.
How did yoga get into that? Like, were you doing ganja yoga first, or did you just, you know, start doing your teaching practice? Like, how did that come about?
So I did my first yoga teacher training in India. It was Hatha yoga.
Wow.
So nothing to do with ganja, but India is also where the medicine was first emerged. So yeah, I was very called to go to India to do this training, and that was before I was teaching ganja yoga first, and before I came to Toronto.
So you had already come with yoga in your system, let's say.
I had, and then I just wanted to teach, you know, like everyone who finishes a training. I just felt like I wanted to do that more because it's so fulfilling, and my journey just led me to start teaching ganja yoga in a ganja yoga studio that's called the House of Yoga. Yeah,
very cool. So how long have you been doing that now?
A year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long have you been in Toronto? Just so we get a
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, so not that long. A lot of transformation very fast.
Very, very quickly. And now in the community here, at least you're very well known for, well, one, teaching yoga, but as well as facilitating women's circles, which is one of the inspirations in having you in the show. I heard an interview with you and Brian Hardy, who also has an amazing online show, Live from Alternity, and really inspired to listen to the way you were describing this pull to facilitate this kind of work. Could you share more about that?
For sure. Again, a moment of just knowing that this was needed. One thing that also helps me to confirm my intuition is to receive signs from the community, from speaking with people, from just symbols in my dreams, or, you know, I'm very much just guided, and so that was one of the things that following my intuition brought me, is to really feel like I needed to start doing Women's Circle, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And it just transformed me completely, because I got to learn so much about the feminine, the divine feminine, the feminine qualities. Yeah, just this whole mysterious realm, archetypal realm also of the feminine, and it's extremely transformative for anyone who goes on this journey. And hearing all my sisters' stories of their personal life also taught me so much, because we're all going through similar things at the end of the day. So I was just open to whatever it was going to be. Well, at first, no, I wanted to control the circles a little bit, because my ego was, I was not trained, and just like
Yes.
letting go and allowing. And now it's happening to me versus me making it happen. And every time I do a circle, I'll base it on a theme that I feel intuitively is needed
in that moment. Yeah. And so when you talk about, because there's a lot of talk about the divine feminine, the rise of the divine feminine, and seeing that energy sort of take place in the community in a more in your face kind of way. And so could you share your insight on what that even looks like for a person like just watching right now at home? Like, what does that even mean, the rise of the divine feminine for themselves? How do you access that space, or what does that even look like? What's the difference between divine feminine and divine masculine?
So when you look at the yin and yang symbol, the yin, the feminine, is the dark. It's the black, right? And so it's an introspective journey that can be, you hear a lot about shadow work these days. That for me is the feminine path to empowerment, the kind of feminine initiations that one would go through. It's going deep within, going under into this underworld sometimes. It's also connected to the night, so what is hidden, the mystical, the mysterious worlds where we don't know, the sense of unknowing, and the spiritual world is all of these things that we don't see, versus the masculine that is the physical realm. The masculine is also going out in the world and doing things, as the feminine will be taking care of yourself, even the physical body versus also the mental body, you know, the earth and your home. So yeah, these are the kind of things that contrast between feminine and masculine. And I think that we're transitioning, this big shift that we're experiencing is very much a shift towards rebalancing the feminine and masculine. So we'll see more people working with the spiritual realm, working with their intuition, and letting go of the ego a little bit more to allow spirit to guide them.
Do you think there's a difference between spirit and intuition, or is it the same thing?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I don't really know, and I ask myself this question many times. Do I know because it already exists, or am I manifesting it with a sense of inner knowing? I think that's one of the things that we can't really know for sure.
Yeah, because it's beautiful when I hear you speak. That's one thing that really called to me too, is like really sharing to live your life based on your intuition, to lead actions and take actions in your life on your intuition, which is so counterintuitive to what we're taught, right? We're taught in our society, you need to know every step and every outcome before you make your move, kind of thing, and there has to be a rational explanation for certain, you know, moves that you make in your life, like leaving and coming to Toronto. Like, that's a big following your intuition without proof or evidence of why, you're just going. What is a way that we can practice that? Like, listening to your intuition is new for people, right?
For me, it starts by having awareness of your body, because you'll find a lot of information in your body. Firstly, your heart. You always hear, follow your heart. This is what it means. And I think for most people, it starts with developing their sensitivity to energies within their body. So meditation helps. Just, again, grounding our awareness into our bodies. And then just starting to sense when we're anxious, when we're, you know, nervous, when we're open too. And then once we know how all these things feel like, maybe trying to just always be in that center, you know, and it's hard at the same time, because I think intuition comes in many different forms. Listening to your dreams, for example, and rather than looking at what's happening in your dream really and the people that are there, the feelings are the intuition, is the message, is the information that you need.
Yes.
So it's a subtle language.
Yes.
Yeah, and it can be also synchronicities, you know, just like hearing a word many times that will be in a way your intuition or spirit or
telling you like pay attention to this or pay attention to that. You're actually one of the few women, you and my roommate, that inspire me to do yoga. I need to do more. I know that. And I can hear the little voice in my head all the time, like, do it, do it, do it. I'm sure that has been a huge catalyst in your life.
Absolutely.
Yoga and obviously meditation. And what do you say, for example, one of the questions I ask a lot of my guests, because the theme of the show is that we are changing the world simply by loving our own world. It's our world to begin with, right? It starts here. What do you say is a takeaway you could give the audience into regards to doing that for themselves?
To changing the world?
Starting with their own,
I think being true to yourself and stop trying to be someone else, which is the same thing, but really listening to what you want deeply, what your soul desires, and what you're good at too, what makes you happy at the end of the day. And yeah, because I think we're all meant to be happy doing the things that we love. We all have certain gifts that we're meant to share. So this is the advice that I would give people, and the ripple effect from that are just immense, and people always underestimate how much
can show up as a result of doing that.
Doing this internal work, this work in your life, and then because then people are inspired by you, and you'll just you'll be guided. Like, so it relates to what we're talking about. So it will become very easy and meaningful and rich, and just
starts expanding.
Yeah, exactly. Expansive.
Yeah. This summer, I mean, this show is going to be airing around April, and I know that there's a lot of things that are coming up. You're constantly offering amazing events throughout the community here in Toronto. What do you foresee this summer for yourself in like your expansion personally? Yeah, what are you spending more time and energy and focus on?
It's hard for me to predict. I'd love to predict more. I think there needs to be a balance between following guidance and planning a little bit ahead. One thing that I know for sure is that I'm going back to Switzerland to visit my family.
Amazing.
My partner's going to Europe to perform at a yoga festival.
Amazing.
So I'll visit a community in northern Italy because we're hoping to build a community in the future too. So we need to visit all these communities that are doing well. And this community carved the mountain to build a temple. So it's a must-see.
Wow.
Yeah, very close to my home. So that's one definitely highlight of my summer festival. I'm hoping to do more women's retreats too. A friend of mine bought some land just 2 hours of Toronto near Kingston, and it's such a beautiful sacred land with magnificent. There's a big quarry. Anyway, we're hoping to do retreats there, and even a little festival there.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like there might be people watching, especially women, that are like asking, how did you even start doing women's circles? Because I think it's important, especially right now, given all the things that are happening on the planet and the shifts that are obviously being felt, that community is so important and connecting, especially with other women. So did you just say, you just put something together and see who shows up, or like, it was pretty much like that?
Yeah, pretty much. We had this one book, Women Who Run with Wolves.
Oh, yes.
So Clarissa Pinkola Este is the reference book, wrote the reference book around the world that is used to do women's circles. Wow. And so each chapter is based on one story or multiple stories, and she describes the meaning of these stories. And so that was our template for each circle, going through one chapter at a time. Wow. And from there, so many synchronicities and things happened around that for people who were coming and for myself. So that was the first series of Women's Circle that I did. And then we finished the book, and then I was like, so what's next? And then I turned to sacred sexuality because I just felt so called to do that. And I was doing some kind of casual private tantric training at the time. So I just wanted to share, what came up from this training.
So you do tantra as well?
yeah, on my own. I never trained in a school, but I think that this is also part of the shift, you know, finding sacredness in sexuality. And when I offered that to the circle, I felt the response. Yes. So many people were interested, and I was just humbly sharing, you know, content from books. And actually, the next women's circle that I have, a tantrika, a person that actually writes books of tantra, is going to come and present her wisdom to the circle. So it's really, again, a confirmation that this is something that is needed and that I'm supposed to offer somehow.
That's amazing. Please share me that link. Yes. That sounds epic. Yeah, sacred sexuality, I think, is very much a conversation for both sexes, of course. But it's something that piques my interest a lot. And so tantra, when you say sacred sexuality, are you referring to tantra? Is that what's in the background of that, or is there like...
Yes and no, because tantra traditionally was not necessarily sexual, from my understanding. There's many different interpretations too, because it's such an ancient tradition.
Yes.
So...
It's sacred sexuality is not tantra, and yet it's a result of, maybe.
Yes, there's many tantric practices that you can do with your partner as well. So this is what I'm feeling is needed, but at the same time, just those individual tantric practices are also important. That actually you can't do tantra with your partner if you don't do a meditation, or if you don't have this meditative practice. Yes. So we're offering both. I'm just presenting material from different sources, and people can pick what they resonate with.
Yeah, I remember thinking, oh, you have to have a partner to do tantra. Yeah. So that's good that you clarified it. You don't need a partner.
No. It's working with the divine feminine and masculine energies within you, and it's working with your sexual energy as well. Tantra is also the philosophical understanding that the body is sacred. So any kind of yogic practice that we are familiar with in the West that is very embodied and physical, that is actually a tantric practice.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just this understanding that we can have access to the divine through the body.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can imagine there's many people that are going to want to find out more from you and connect with you. Is there a way to reach you? Do you have any links? Well, give me some links. We'll put them at the bottom of this video so that you can connect with her directly. But if there's any that you want to share now, or...
I mean, I'm working on my website right now, so it will be ready by the time this airs. It's claritybartleet.com. Perfect. And Facebook is always a good way to reach me as well.
Facebook as well. Thank you so much for being here, for being who you are and doing the work that you're doing. I'm so grateful that there's people like you in the world, and I can't wait to have you on the show again, and we'll see what you're up to next time I talk to you. And if you guys do need to get a hold of her, make sure you check her out on Facebook, www.claritybartleet.com. And remember that we will have all the links below this, so share this video with anybody that you think this would resonate. Click like, do what you can to spread this message of love and light. And remember, you really are changing the world simply by loving your own. We're so excited to see you next week. I'm going to have an epic guest for you. It's going to be super, super, super good. So I'll see you next week at Thursday. Thank you. Love you. Bye.